Coming up next on Adventurer, Part 3 of our special Indy 500 preview. Don't go away. Clash, James Clash. Welcome to Part 3 of our special Indy 500 preview on Adventurer. I'm your host, Jim Clash. We've talked with the veteran drivers in our first two parts, Danica Patrick, Tony Kanaan, Ryan Briscoe, Milka Duno, and Buddy Lazier. Today it's the rookies, and a full third of the field, 11 drivers, this year have never competed in an Indy 500. Graham Rahal, son of 1986 champ Bobby Rahal, at 19 has already won an IRL race at Homestead. Alex Lloyd was Indy Lights champion last year, and Justin Wilson is the tallest driver in the field, well over 6 feet. I'm sure you've grown up in the shadow of your father, Bobby Rahal, who won the Indianapolis 500 in 1986. You weren't even born yet. Did you know you wanted to race early on, and was your father your mentor, your hero?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dad certainly was the hero. You know, you always want to be like him, and I think that's a situation that's quite common in open wheel racing. You know, for myself, obviously, I always wanted to be a driver, and you know, growing up in kind of the shadow, it's something you just get used to. I think there are a lot of us that are in that situation, and it's just a matter of doing your best. I mean, once you're successful, you know, that kind of fades, but obviously, I'm still early in my career. It's going to take quite some time, and you know, just keep going at it as we can. I mean, obviously, I'd love to win here at Indy and add my name to the list, just like his is.
Well, we're going to talk about that because right behind us here is the Borg-Warner Trophy, and I think your father. Where's your father's face? Can you point it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Right down here, 86.
He has a little less hair than you have. Do you ever worry about that?
No, because you know, they always say it comes from your mother's side. My mom's dad's got plenty of hair, had plenty of hair, and he's got even less hair than he has on there. I mean, the trophy actually makes him look pretty good.
We're here with Alex Lloyd, who was the Indy Lights champion last year, and he's starting in 19th place in the race this year. Tell us what it's like to drive at Indianapolis in an Indy car as opposed to an Indy Lights car.
It's tough, very tough. You know, it would have been nice for me to, I think, to have had some experience in another track prior to coming over here, because you know, Indy Lights car, it's not as challenging as I thought. When I got in the car and drove it for the first time, I was like, okay, this isn't too bad. You know, there's a lot of hype about this place, and I don't quite know what it's for. When you get into an Indy car and you're going from 190 to 230 miles an hour turning into turn 1, it's a different ball game.
Now, there was a lot of rain this month in May, so a lot of the champ car drivers didn't get all that much practice out on the track. Now, you, of course, coming from the Indy Lights, you had a lot of practice in Indianapolis. You didn't get as much in the Indy car. But how is that going to affect this race? You got 11 rookies, one of whom is yourself, although you've driven at the racetrack. How is that going to affect the way you drive this race?
The strategy is to get to the final pit stop, to the final stint, and be somewhere in contention. Now, that's going to mean having or not having any bad luck. It's going to mean a good strategy by the team, and it's going to mean good driving. And if you can do all that, match all that together, and be in with a shout at the end, then it's time to go racing, and then you really, you know, put your foot down and give it everything you've got and take some risks. Up until that point, you really can't afford to take too many risks. You know, there's a lot of cars, a lot of accidents are going to happen, and we've just got to try and stay out of it and be there at the end.
It's a 500-mile race, and I don't know if you've ever driven 500 miles, but tell us what your strategy will be, because it is a long race.
Yeah, from what I've been told, people tell me the first 400 miles you don't want to get involved in any accidents. So, not that you take it easy, because at the end of the day we are drivers and our ego takes over, but try not to get caught up, try not to damage the car, and then if you survive that far, then you're on the lead lap, you've got a good chance for the last 100 miles and really go for it. So we'll see what happens. The McDonald's car was quick, I was happy with it, it was good in traffic, and that's the important thing. Qualifying, you need a quick car to be at the front, but it's not important, you just got to make the race, and then if your car is consistent over a stint, you'll be in good shape.
Now, you look like you might be the tallest guy out there. Are there any special problems? Because I noticed a lot of the racers are very small, and I think weight comes into configuration and the size of the cars. Is there anything particularly challenging about being this tall in an Indy car?
Well, obviously, the size, getting in the car is the hardest part. We move the pedals as far forward as possible, we move the seat as far back as possible, make it as thin as we can to give myself as much room. My knees are touching the top of the cockpit, my elbows on the side, there's just no room left, I use it all. But the other part of that is, like you mentioned, the weight. being taller, I'm therefore heavier than some of these drivers, and weight in a race car is not an ideal thing. You got to accelerate that weight, you got to decelerate and turn it. So it's a bit of a disadvantage. I've not known any different, so I just get out there and do my best, and so far it's worked.
Again, Indy 500 rookies Graham Rahal, Alex Lloyd, and Justin Wilson. I'm Forbes Adventurer Jim Clash. To read my column, pick up Forbes magazine or click on Forbes.com/adventurer. And thanks for watching the Forbes.com video network. Clash, James Clash.